Welcome to Heather Ewing, the CRE Rundown. Today from lovely New York, I have Gabe. And Gabe, help me in pronouncing your name.
Gabe Einhorn.
Einhorn. Remember that name, folks, because he is going places as seen on his LinkedIn. So you're going to want to check him out. And that's how we connected. And what I loved about you from the start, Gabe, is one, you've got great energy. Two, you actually reached out in a fun, non boring 5 paragraph thing of, hey, let's jump on a quick call. I'm all about something quick and getting to know someone. So welcome.
For sure. Thank you for having me. It's actually funny you said
Yeah.
that because I started on LinkedIn about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And before I started posting, I just started sending cold DMs. And I've been trial and error sending, the longer form things, trying to sell people in the initial like cold DM. And then just the last couple months, as I started gaining more connections and traction, I was just like, let me just send a simple, like, great to connect, would love to hop on a call, like make it short and quick. If you're down, say like yes. If not, like
Yeah.
it's what it is. So that
Yeah,
that
and that's how we jumped on a call because a lot of times I do get these long things and it's delete, delete, delete. And that's where it was fun having that quick conversation. And I think one of the things that I love about you is that you share videos of New York, just like I love sharing these great videos of Madison, Wisconsin.
For sure. Yeah, there's so much in New York. And as I started, once I started posting regular posts, then I started posting some pictures, adding it in, and then I was like, I want to post some videos. I'm in New York City. I don't really sell buildings necessarily in New York City, but there's so
Mhm.
much to see, so much to do. Like I feel like making some video series on that could be a super cool thing just to spread and people would like it. So just decided to do that. And people kind of get a little confused, like, oh, are you selling those properties? Like, no, I'm not selling Hudson Yards. That's above my pay grade. But it's a cool video to make, so I went for it.
Definitely. That'd be a Bob Knackle one, right?
Exactly. Yeah, he's next level, and thankfully I've been able to meet him a couple times too. So that's been pretty cool. Just in the streets of New York City. That's the best part about being in New York is just you go walk outside, you go bump into anyone from, the biggest billionaires, businessmen in the world, just walking on the street, sometimes even on the subway, which is, kind of crazy to think about.
Definitely. So share with our audience here a little bit more about you for those that have not yet met you.
Yeah, for sure. So, a little bit about me. I'm working in commercial real estate. My main job is arranging debt financing for commercial real estate. We're doing deals across the country. Been doing it for about 2 years now, so I'm no expert in any sense. My main goal is just to build networks, more connections, and build that trust to help out clients. I'm not going to sell you over like, oh, I'm better than this guy or that guy because look, he's been doing it for 20 years. I've been doing it for 2 years. He's got a lot more experience and knowledge than me, but I'm dedicated to the client, building a real true relationship, someone that you enjoy working with and that will get the job done for you. So that's what I'm doing during the day. And since this past summer, started my clothing brand, Praise, trying to
That's
spread the
great.
importance of prayer and belief in God. It kind of came across as an idea in a dream this past summer, which is kind of crazy. Sounds, like I made it up, but it did. And it's just in such a crazy world where there's so much negativity and division. I thought it could be a way to bring people together from different backgrounds and religions through one shared belief of just God or even a higher power, something that's controlling the world that's greater than us. We're not controlling the world. I can't decide what's happening tomorrow. You can't decide what's happening tomorrow. It's not in our hands. There's something greater than us. And we can all share that, whether we're, Christian, Muslim, Catholic, Jewish. We can all share that belief. So that's kind of the goal around the brand. Um,
I love it.
so yeah, it's been a
I
fun ride.
think I think to your point though, I think people get stuck on titles, whether it's various religions or careers, this and that, right? And when you strip away everything else, it's really finding peace and that connection in whatever it is and in any form, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And as far as the clothing coming up into a dream, that's how a lot of my earlier oil paintings, for those that don't know, I used to have an oil painting business many years ago when I went through my early midlife crisis in my 30s. But that's where I would get different ideas for it. And you hear of a lot of the artists and creative people throughout time. The dream state is when, your ordinary mind is out and you really are opening up to a lot more. So I think that's great. And
Yeah.
now with the clothing line, what do you offer?
So right now we have t-shirts, hoodies, crew necks, and sweatpants. Um, and that's probably will remain like that. I'm not sure if we'll roll out shorts. Working on some hats too.
Yeah.
So I mean, you could put something on everything. I think the staple is the t-shirt because that's gonna have the biblical quote on the back. And gonna do different releases based on different motivational biblical quotes that connect with me and connect with other people. The shirt that I'm wearing now says a wise man falls 7 times and rises again. And that's just, a worldwide quote, whether, you follow any religion or you just know, good
Oh.
quotes. That's definitely one of them. And that's the goal to put those on the back of the shirts and have people, be proud to actually wear their faith.
Mhm.
So,
Right, definitely. And I think to your point, Gabe, is that people can relate to challenges in life, getting back up, and some get back up and some don't. Like I've always said that life's earlier experiences, the really challenging ones, that it either buries you
yeah,
or it gives you wings.
exactly.
And I think it's really as people move through the healing process of different things, that's where they do cultivate the wins, if you want to say, and it gives them that forward momentum. And that ties in perfectly with commercial real estate because, being new to the field, right? And I haven't been in it 20, 30 years, but I've been in it since 2010.
Okay,
And there's always opportunities to learn, to grow. And the more you learn, you realize how little you know.
for
And
sure.
let's face it, right? Deal terms are long, and you can really go through a myriad of different experiences in one deal.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot so far, just getting started. I mean, my first 14 months, I didn't even close a deal. And you get so excited. We get a signed term sheet, you start moving the process, and then that deal falls through, and this deal falls through, and that goes wrong. And there's so many things that go wrong. And if you're not built for, things to go wrong and bounce back from it, then you're not built for this industry. And I mean, in life in general, I'm sure most industries like you're gonna deal with setbacks and failures. And if you don't have the ability and the grit, I forgot like the word that I want to use, but the strength to bounce back, you're gonna have a hard time succeeding in anything.
That's so true. And that's where I say too that entrepreneurship, which is what we're all in, where it's really defining is that not only do you take the hit, the learning lesson, right? Which is great for the future, but when you're going through it, let's face it, it is not pretty.
It's not fun
But
at all.
also you take the financial hit. And it's unlike other arenas where in commercial there's fewer deals and they're more sizable versus even residential or other types of sales where if you miss one, two, three, maybe 10, it's not as big of a deal. But due to the time parameters and dollar
Yeah.
amounts, you learn once and it's a tough learning curve. So I agree. You don't mess around with that. What else are you observing being newer to the arena that might have contradicted, if you want to say, to the sales, right, of why this arena is so great, or maybe just expectations that you had? What's something for people maybe that are interested in getting into it, whether they're young, whether this is a second, third, fourth career? What might be something that you can share with them that will be helpful?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is, a perception that I don't know if it's worldwide or, people think like this, but when I first started in real estate, I was a little bit intimidated. You kind of think like, oh, people who work in real estate, like they're scary, they're not friendly. And I've had my fair share of people who, weren't so open or nice, whether it was a cold call event, whatever. Everyone has their, their moments. But really just how open and, like nice people are in the industry. Like it's a much more tight-knit
Yeah.
community than most industries. You have accounting and finance and all this stuff where there's hundreds of thousands, millions of people doing it. The real estate industry, yes, it's big, and I haven't even touched a percentage of the real estate industry in the United States. But like from the people and the smaller groups that I've interacted with, whether it's in New York City or even on LinkedIn, social media, I've
Yeah.
had so many people open just to, getting on calls with me, answering advice, whether it's at events, meeting up. Like so many people are open just to giving back, and um, it's much easier to build connections than I expected. I thought it would be much more difficult, to put yourself out there and, get rejected. And obviously it's part of the process, but I think
Right.
it's a very underratedly warm space where there's a lot of good people, like really good people.
I agree. I think it's extremely relationship based. And I think that's also again due to the long deal terms and things of that nature. And I remember when I got into it as well of people are really open. And I think also we all remember, no matter how long we've been in it, how hard you had to work.
For
When
sure.
I started, I didn't have a book of business either. And I didn't have outside funding and things of that nature. So it was brass tacks. It was a lot of grit and vision. And like yourself, there's a strong vision and you put the action in daily, whether you want to or not, right? And I think a lot of people get sidetracked by, oh, beautiful weather, right? Especially since New York and Wisconsin can get a little chilly.
Yeah, it's been a
And
cold one.
I think it's one of those of it's really recommitting. And I like to say it's almost like you resell yourself on the mission and the vision on a daily basis. And depending on what you're going through, it might be several times
Yeah,
within a day.
for
Hmm.
sure. Yeah, sometimes you wake up and you're just like, I'm not built for this, or I'm not ready for this. There's some days that
Right.
are just longer, slower, deals aren't coming in, or deals are falling through, and you're dealing with that stuff. One thing I want to ask you actually is,
Yes.
I guess now that you started in 2010, so it's about 15 years now in your real estate career. When in your career did you realize that like this was for you and like you were in it for the long run?
Right. I would say so. The interesting thing is, I started at the bottom, truly. So
Yeah.
even though I had two different business degrees, I had had that early, path of trying a lot of different arenas. And so in 2010, I actually got in to real estate through First Weber as an admin
Okay.
because I had my art business at the
Yeah.
time. So I wanted something simple and stable that I didn't bring home. And that's where I got my sales license. And I never worked in residential, but I next transitioned to property management, and I knew up front that that would not be my heart's delight,
Yeah.
but it kept me in the arena. And I think what happens is a lot of people's egos get in the way where they would never have taken that type of position, nor the property management, right? When you come from two business degrees, you made money. But what I learned early on is that sometimes you have to pay in to get what you want,
Yeah.
and I was willing to do that, and that's the path that I took. And again, I built mine, um, and then I got into brokerage in 2014, and then it was retail, restaurants, and then mixed use developments from 15 forward. And then I
Okay.
started my firm Abstract on a beautiful month of April 2020,
Okay.
which we all remember.
COVID, yeah.
So yeah, for people that don't know me well, they'll realize there's a lot of grit, and you can't tell people's backgrounds and what they've been able to do in life by just a glance. Just like with a lot of people, I'm sure they see that you're younger and there's already the assumption that blank, 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 blank,
For sure.
right?
For
And
sure.
so I think it's the athlete in me that just says, we all start at the starting line and we all finish at the finish. And we'll see who comes out first.
Exactly.
But
For sure.
yeah, that was my path in it, and it's I really committed to it. I would say in 2015 when I was like, wow, you can bring food and shopping all into one. I'm like, I was made for this.
That's great.
Yeah, and then the developments, it's art on a grand scale.
Yeah.
So I'm working on a project right now where talking about the design, how many square feet of retail do we put in, restaurants, all of this. So it's all of those basics that make me, but it's in a brick and mortar
Yeah.
place.
It's like a design and artwork on like the largest scale. Like you can't make bigger art than,
Totally.
making a massive property development. Like it's very cool. So tell me, I wanted
Yeah.
to ask also a little bit more about your athletic background. So you said
Oh,
I know we spoke about it when we spoke a couple weeks ago, that you're very into running, right?
marathons. Yeah, this can be a tag team podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Marathons, love them. That, I started getting into half marathons for
Okay.
stress.
Okay.
2015. Yeah. And I started sleeping as I ran more. And then your body would get used to that next level. And it's like, oh, but need to add some more miles.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up, yeah, like 26 half marathons and
Wow.
now 9 marathons. So it's great for stress. I learned early in life, bad habits. You need to choose habits that will actually fuel you forward. So, what have you done, Gabe? What's your go-to
For sure.
for de-stressing?
Yeah. I'm still trying to balance it out. Um,
Yeah.
I happen to be not like a stressed out person, but I put a lot of pressure on myself. Like thankfully, my parents, my family, everyone has a lot of support for me, just, with whatever
Yeah.
I want to do, and I'm blessed to have that. But just mentally, like I want to achieve so much, and I put a lot of pressure on myself, which, inherently causes a solid amount of stress. One way that's best for me to totally detox is when I play soccer. It's just, a way to get out of everything. Like your mind is just not on anything else. You're just focused on the game. And then you get, obviously, when you're having the better games, you're in a flow state, like in any sport. And you're totally, enhanced and, entrenched into the game. And it's just a getaway for, an hour and a half. You
Yeah.
feel great. Sometimes, obviously, you don't feel great afterwards if you lose or you get injured or whatever.
Right.
Um, but that's a great way I detox. So I play that. I'm playing in Israel in July for Team USA.
That's
Uh,
fantastic.
yeah, so that's gonna be probably my last competitive route
Mhm.
because I finished up school a month ago, and I'm not sure if I'm gonna go back. I've played 3 years, but I finished my MBA, so I don't know if like what I would go back to school for, and if I have the time to go like play another year in college because it's a big commitment. So I'm trying to figure out
Mhm.
what I'm gonna put that extra energy towards if I decide, after July that I'm done playing, at a competitive level. I mean, I do still love going to the gym. I love playing basketball, soccer. So whether it's even just at a recreational level, um, maybe that's a good idea. It's just hard for me because as, an athlete, I'm sure like there's a difference between running by yourself and running an actual race. So it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
the competition's not there if I go play in a pickup game in New York City versus playing in, an intense competitive game. So
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
trying to figure that out.
Well, would you like a couple questions to help you with that?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So I'm probably about twice your age, right? So thinking at it from a different vantage point, what I would say is one, fitness can be a big part of your life through many years. I didn't like, I got into the solid running and racing at 40,
Okay.
right? And so I'm 51. And I'm a firm believer I've done really well in commercial real estate as a result of staying fit. And to your point, you do process things differently. You also keep a really solid mindset because you can't do well in sports with a sloppy mindset,
For sure.
right? And it also helps me, I focus on food as fuel, my hydration, all of those things, because kind of like you with the soccer game, if you're not hydrated, it's going to be painful. And
Hmm.
you do it once or maybe twice, and you learn real quick of that. I will not put myself through that again. So
Yeah.
they feed into each other really well. And I think, especially as people age, when you combine the relationships with a strong mind body, that's going to allow you to go a lot further, and other people are going to tire it in different ways. And when people's health goes,
Yeah.
they spend all of their focus, their energy and funds on that.
Yeah.
It's sad, but it's a real part of life. So I would say, remember, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And, you know, maybe as you're waking up one day or going to bed, ask yourself and feel into it, right? Like I say, run it forward in your mind of who are you at different benchmarks of life and who are you and how do you feel and how does it translate to the other aspects of life if you are active, if you do play one more year, if you play several years through intramural or whatever types of things. So
For
that
sure.
would be my questions for you.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, I think like I think I'm ready like to kind of like hang it up on a competitive level.
Mhm.
But I mean, like through all that, I've gained, a sense of importance through just fitness and health. Like I go to the gym every morning. Like if I don't go to the gym in the morning either before or after I do my day morning prayers, like my day is not the same. Like I can't like it's part of my daily routine. So like even stuff like that, like that's with me now, whether or not I'm still playing soccer. Like I have that regimen of like the importance of getting in a morning workout, getting my body moving. So that's something that like is very important. I just the lessons I learned. And obviously then, even if I'm not playing at a competitive level, like I could hone in some of that competitive energy and nature into, the business world and into,
Mhm.
hopefully future, building a family and a lot of other things. So there's a lot
Yeah.
to think about for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think you might be more clear than you realize. So watch this back and I think you'll know.
Yeah, yeah.
So, my last question for you, Gabe, this is the challenging one, but I think you'll roll right with this, is what does living fully mean to you?
That's a deep question.
It is.
It's honestly it's something that I try to think about, especially like once you get into the mix of business and the rush, and you're trying to do so many things at the same time. Especially once I started the clothing brand, and then things started ramping up with business. It's like I'm trying to do so many things at the same time. You don't even like stop to just breathe and be in the moment. So I think living fully is just living in the moment as much as you can. It's obviously easier said than done, and even people who say that they live in the moment, we're so caught up in our phones and in work and in thinking about the next thing and the next thing. I think living fully for me is spending time with family and friends, and obviously, honing in on my connection to God, doing something meaningful with my time, and trying to live in the moment as much as possible and actually appreciating the here and now instead of getting so caught up, which I tend to do a lot because I want to accomplish so many things and there's so many things going through my mind that I'm always thinking about the next thing and the next thing. So the times that I actually am able to really appreciate what I'm doing at that time, and it's something that I enjoy, that I'm doing that's meaningful, I think that's living to the fullest.
Perfect. And that is sage advice for us all. So, Gabe, thank you so much for joining me today and share with our audience how can they connect with you?
For sure. Yeah. Thank you for having me again. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. Just look up Gabe Einhorn. It's the redhead guy uh, on LinkedIn. I'm actually just got on Twitter also. I think it's Einhorn Gabe. Still trying to figure out that platform. And on Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, you can check out Praise Studios, Prays Studios. That's just for some more fun faith-based content, going around doing street interviews, asking people about God, prayer, some more meaningful stuff. So check it out, and I appreciate you having me, Heather.
You bet, Gabe. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.